Hey guys, welcome to sprint number 8 for the AI team. Let's jump right into it. So you can see this is our new skill to use to make sprint review emails. So we have this nice design for it. So our sprint goal was, we had 3 sprint goals. So the first one was the Tiger email notifications. It was blocked because it was waiting on sysadmins to set up mailbox and permissions, but they had a really low capacity to sprint. They were busy with a bunch of other priorities. We had the MCP and crystal ball video. So the crystal ball video was done with Adam. So Adam had a look at it and had a few bits of feedback. And the MCP still had Jeffrey's comments, but we've got a solution for that one, which we'll mention later. And the sprint email skill to be ready to be used for by other teams. So it's a good, now that it's in a good position, we are getting the Tina team to try it and get some feedback from them. So if we look at the timesheets, we got Michael working most days, and then Caleb, myself, Luke working part-time, and then Willow a few hours. And on to some of the issues. So the first one to mention is about the sprint skill. So Michael, do you want to point out one of the PBIs that you worked on?
Yep. The one I want to call out is the sprint email template customization. So as you all know, we have a base template where we run our sprint reviews, but obviously each team differs slightly in how they run it. So they might include an extra section here, an extra metric there. So Lewis, if you scroll down a little more, you'll see a figure with the Tina CMS, Tina Cloud teams sprint review, and they have these custom sections where that's not typically included in other teams' sprint reviews. So I've added a setup where you can define a custom profile for each team so that every time you generate a sprint review, retro, and planning email for that team, they can define these custom sections to add in. And then every time you have a sprint email generated, it will come out looking the same with all of these sections that you need.
Thank you, Michael.
So,
if there's nothing, we can move on. So next one to jump into is the Sophie Claude test. So Luke did some testing with Sophie Claude and compared it with Sophie GPT. So Luke, what were the results?
Yeah, so if you scroll down, so I think we reviewed with Adam last Friday. So this is updated comment. You will see all the which one is better on this table. And so in conclusion, so Sophie GPT, which is using Microsoft Copilot Studio, is better than OpenCrawl. Yeah, so as an enterprise chatbot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Next one I mentioned is about Tiger. So there are a few.
Hold on. I feel like that was very, very brief. And I expected OpenClaw to be substantially better than Copilot Studio. But what were the results, Luke?
The result?
Yeah.
I think in current stage, so if we want to build an enterprise chatbot, right, for employee, I think Sophie GPT is better. You will see the reason I list because it has like a more built-in integration, Microsoft integration, such as CRM, SharePoint, and also Power Automate. So you can easily just plug in your data and it will answer any question using generative answers. Yeah. And second is more secure within the Microsoft ecosystem. Yeah, that's the two main reasons.
It also, but it does feel it would be more limited. So let's just say I want to say when can you set up, when would Callum, Lewis, and Michael be free for 2 hours? Have you tested that to see, like, looking in people's calendars?
No, we haven't tested this.
You haven't? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So which one do you expect to be better?
You mean for this question?
Yeah, for that question. For looking at calendars.
I feel like maybe OpenCrawl. Yeah, because I have used this integration on Microsoft Copilot a few times. It's not great. Yeah, but I feel like OpenClaw will be better. Yeah.
Okay, so some things are going to be better in OpenClaw and some things are going to be better in Copilot Studio. Does that mean we're going to be releasing both?
I think this question already. I think I discussed with Colin. So ideally, it's just like two different technique to like build enterprise chatbot. So if maybe a client is already within the Microsoft Copilot, Microsoft like ecosystem, so maybe they will link to the Microsoft Copilot Studio. Yeah, if they want more customized, we will just using like OpenClaw.
Okay, did you hear my question? I'm talking about SSW employees. What are we releasing?
So for SSW, so I think we prefer like Sophie GPT, which is Microsoft Copilot Studio.
Okay, so but the example I've just used, and I'm sure there's plenty of others, such as look in somebody's calendar and tell me when they're free. You think OpenClaw would be better? Why are you only releasing one rather than release both?
I feel like it's kind of like still in the experiment phase. Yeah. Or maybe we can just develop both and to see which one is better, because we haven't actually implemented this feature on OpenClaw yet. Yeah.
Right. All right. I don't know the right answer, but Willow, what's your opinion?
I feel like maybe do some more tests and see how it goes, and then based on the results and then decide which one to use.
Willow, what's your opinion?
My
release
opinion,
one or the other or both?
Release both, because
Both.
experiment. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lewis, what's your opinion?
My opinion, I would say release both. Like for the example that you gave, I think Michael's had an example on Claw with that exact prompt, and I think it worked really well. So if Sophie GPT can't do that, then but it can do other things better for now. I think it's just a difference of setting the skill.
Yeah. What do you say, Mike?
So I would say that we should continue developing both, but I'm not sure that we should release both. It's because I believe that OpenClaw is better at the generative responses, but the main issue I have with Sophie Claw as a Teams bot is that it's very much designed to be a personal assistant. So for example, if I'm chatting with it and I make certain changes and, for example, improve on it, it's very difficult to propagate that change across every channel with everyone chatting to it. So you start kind of getting it diverging all over the place when people start using it as a team bot.
Sorry, can you say that thing again? I didn't get it.
So I think OpenClaw is better at creating these generative answers based off data. However, it's designed to be a personal assistant. So using it with a bunch of people starts making it behave strangely, especially when you have people giving it feedback and it starts iterating on itself.
Okay. Interesting.
So at this stage, I believe we should still develop Sophie Claw to see if that's something we can overcome. But I think in the end, we should only release one or the other because there are many overlaps.
So you're thinking that there could be the chance that every new employee gets their own OpenClaw instance?
I'm not sure if that's the future I would see. Obviously, OpenClaw is still changing a lot. So potentially they might, have a toggleable option that lets you kind of sync up these changes across channels, and we won't have to worry about this in the near future.
Okay.
Or maybe that could even be something that we work on building. But
sure,
as of right now, those are my concerns.
And what type of success have you had with your client using OpenClaw?
With the client using OpenClaw, they're obviously happy with OpenClaw because it is serving to them as a personal assistant. They're not having, an entire company using the same, chatting with the same OpenClaw instance.
It's just the boss using it. That's it. It's just to
Yes.
make him more efficient, is it?
Yes.
And what's a typical question that he can now use OpenClaw to do?
So for him, he wants to do, for example, he has a bunch of things that he needs to buy for his business, like grocery wise. He can just send off a recipe or list to OpenClaw and say, hey, go off and add X amount of servings of this recipe as ingredients into my Woolies cart, and then it will go off, spin up a browser and do that for him. So he doesn't need to kind of manually look for this stuff, calculate how much he needs to get. All he needs to do is at the end of it, go in, check if it makes sense, and then pay for it.
Okay. All right. Eddie, what's your opinion?
I think OpenClaw is way more functional and has a lot more potential for integrations and potential to be more useful. But there is that very obvious bottleneck of it not natively supporting multiple users. Or it does, but it doesn't support them very well with the issues of shared context and wanting to sandbox certain things and share certain things. There are some forks of OpenClaw that we could explore that purport to support multi-user. And if we could do something like that, I think it'd be preferable to Copilot Studio. But for the moment, I think it makes sense to work on both.
Both. Okay. And what do you think, Callum?
Well, I think we should just be focusing on building the actual skills and integrations, and then everyone should just use it directly from Claude Code. If they want to do stuff like loops and schedules, obviously they can, so it doesn't all have to be running locally. But I see limited utility in having an OpenClaw chatbot when you can just do it all yourself. We should just have SSW skills that we share to everyone, and everyone should have their own Claude Code with the max plan, just do whatever they want through Claude Code directly. But for the purpose of, dog fooding it for clients who might want it, I think we should continue, playing around with both, seeing what they can do, what they can't do, that sort of stuff. I think it would probably make sense to do like a chewing the fat. And we ask people, hey, try these queries on Sophie GPT, try it on Sophie Claw, which one do you like, which one don't you like, etc. Just to get more information.
I love that. Let's go with that option, Luke. We're going to release them both at the same time, do a chewing the fat, ask people to ask a couple of questions on each. And I think to a degree, we will need a page of each for each product and with the type of questions and the type of answers you get.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. I will add a comment.
Let's keep it moving.
Yep. Let's keep it moving. So the next one is about Tiger. So there were a few changes to Tiger. Willow, do you want to talk about this bug fix?
Yeah, sure. So this bug is that for the Tina Cloud and Tina CMS Spring Review, we failed to store their dashboard into the database because there's a slash in their project title. So I fixed this to sanitize the project name before saving to database. And it works fine now.
Cool. And the last one I mentioned is Crystal Ball. So I went through with Adam, I went through the video and there was a bunch of comments, and yeah, so basically we should prioritize this as it'll be used for any reviews, and we're going to use Crystal Ball as a way to advertise Time Pro. And there's also a skill, but we're keeping both so that one is for immediate viewing and the other one can be if you want to generate any ad hoc information using what Crystal Ball can do. And that's all for the issues. If you want to have a quick scan and if there's anything that you want me to cover, we can do that. If not, I'll move on. So our velocity, we did 68% of what was committed over 5 days. However, from the call, Michael doesn't think so. So we wrote that up as a bug report and we'll have to investigate that as well. And I'm going to hand it over to Michael to cover R&D.
Thank you, Lewis. For the R&D, the sprint, we've had 4 different things. So the sprint ceremony skill is obviously very novel. So we've called that as R&D. Next thing is actually a part of the sprint ceremony skill as well, but our skill versioning approach and research on how to handle it. So we have added a footer note which kind of keeps track of the version of the skill used to generate these emails. That way we can tell at a glance that a certain email was generated with X version of a skill. Callum has suggested that maybe we should switch to a plugin marketplace as the better long-term answer to kind of optimize the flow of updating these skills. The next bit of R&D that we did was OpenClaw's alternative model provider. So that was something that Lewis and Luke did and focused on. They spent some time looking into the best models, best options, etc. Next thing to call out was something done by Caleb, which was using GitHub agentic workflows as a checker using role-based triggering. So making sure that it only triggers on SSW Consulting's members on GitHub. And that's a rather novel approach. So we've listed that as R&D. Moving on into the AI tool usage, myself, Lewis, and Callum, who's not here, are all using Claude Code with Opus 4.7 on the 20x subscription. We've been using Yakshaver Desktop 360 and Teams, and none of us are hitting limits. Willow, are these tools correct for you?
Yes.
Awesome. So Willow's using Claude Code as well with Opus 4.7 on the 20x Max subscription, and then using Copilot CLI and Yakshaver Desktop. Caleb is using Claude Code with Opus 4.6, but he mentioned that he was updating to 4.7 since we told him about the update, and he's also using GitHub Copilot. Meanwhile, Luke is using Gemini for chatting and Claude Code with Opus 4.7 for coding. There's no questions. We'll move on to the AI stats. If you scroll down a little bit, Lewis. So for this sprint, Claude has called out pretty much all of our done PBIs that we went through, and that is correct. If we go down to look at the Copilot stats, you'll see in the speaker summary, Lewis and myself spoke the most with Callum and Caleb. The speaking minutes were roughly equal between all of us. And for the main issue completed, it said that the main issue we did was sprint ceremony email generation skill polish, which basically covers all of the small PBIs that we completed to further clean up and optimize this sprint ceremony email skill. There's no questions there. We'll go down and I will pass it back to Lewis to go over this.
Yep, so some decisions from the meeting. We've just converted PBI into an epic. And as mentioned earlier, so Callum recommended us to publish the skill via a Claude Code plugin marketplace so that there's no version tracking required on our end. We don't need to hard code any version tracking skill. Yeah, there was a recommendation to see if we could do a mail to. So instead of needing to copy and paste this email, we could just click a button and it will open up Outlook with this already pre-filled. Yep. And there was a few, because we're going to do canary testing, part of it is so that when someone else is using it and they say this thing is wrong or that thing is wrong, that thing looks weird, it will automatically create an issue for us. So they don't need to separately use Yakshaver or separately message us about an issue. It would just automatically create it for them. And
sorry, can you tell me more about that? How did you come up with that idea? And
this one?
How will it pick up that it's a suggestion?
Well, in the same way that it picks up anything, people discuss it during the transcript of the meeting. The agent that is analyzing the transcript will detect, oh, it looks like they have feedback about the generation of the sprint artifacts. So I will therefore create an issue on the on the SSW skills backlog, detailing the issue that they encountered.
I don't like the smell of this. Like, we're going to get junk in the backlog. I think there should be a step where the person confirms and puts their names next to it. Like it
Yeah,
should
we could do
say,
that.
Lewis, looks like you suggested this, please confirm. Or please, if you put it on the issue, like if you make an issue, make sure there's a category that is to be confirmed by Lewis or whatever.
Yeah, I think the human would confirm it before creating the issue, which is what we do for all of the stuff the agent does already anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess one of the things we could do is just add a step when you finish the sprint review, and when you run the transcript, at the end it can go, I also found 5 comments that your team has made. Would you like me to create those as issues?
I see. Okay.
Something like that, yeah. If that's all, then we can move on to any backlog changes. Anything of note here? Nothing much of note, just changing one of the issues. So canary testing for Tina was just converted to an epic because there were a lot of issues being bundled into that. So we decided an epic would be easy to track. And yeah, all the PPIs that I mentioned earlier, so they all got created and they're all in the agent skills backlog at the moment. For backlog stats, we had 16 completed, 6 in progress, 4 bonus ones, which is the ones that got dragged into the sprint, 1 blocked, or there's 137 total PBIs in the AI project, and that change of +5 bonus. So the backlog is growing. And now, actually, I'll go through the project snapshot. So the average velocity is 21.5, and there's 14 that are ready for the next sprint. And I hand it over to Callum to go through the sprint retro.
All right. So what went well? I guess Michael, myself, and Caleb were all in agreement that we had made a lot of progress with the sprint skill, which is obviously cool. And Lewis, I guess, similarly finding a lot more painless now with all the copy and all these extra functions, which is good. In terms of what didn't go so well, Michael said I should have moved a couple of issues off the backlog. Got more issues to do for the sprint ceremony skill, especially the Tiger email issue. That these summaries aren't very clear, are they? Maybe that's another thing that the AI should do, is try to summarize more clearly what the feedback is. Improvements for next sprint. So trading issues. When bonus items land mid-sprint, we need to take out stuff so that we're not ending up over-committing with heaps of stuff in the backlog. That makes sense. And Michael said now that daylight savings has ended, we should get Willow in the meeting as well, and invite Caleb because we currently need to manually add him. And that's it for the retro.
Yep, and I think Caleb, that issue has now been fixed, right, Mike? Yep, that's good. One's already done.
Awesome.
If there's nothing, then I'll move on to the forecast. So for sprint number 9, our sprint goals will be to get Sophie GPT in production. So I think there were some to-dos left from you, Luke, on that one.
I think we're gonna modify that to we're gonna do a dual release of both at the same time. Or you can get this in production and do a soft one where we don't tell everyone about it until the other ones.
Yeah, soft release.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Soft release Sophie GPT. Cool. The next one is there's a Yak Shaver X Time Pro MCP video that I still needed to work on. There were some comments from Jeffrey, so I'm going to see if I can get. Oh, this is wrong. I'll fix it. See if Barjat or Marcus can edit the video, so without needing to re-record, as there were a few comments from Jeffrey on that.
Can I check this is going to be used at NDC? Is it?
I'm not sure it's going to be used for NDC.
I would assume it is. So it's way, way, way more important than the soft launch of Sophie GPT that's not needed for NDC.
Wait, so we're advertising time pro MCP?
Oh, sorry. Is that what it is? I thought
This
it was.
is a different one. It's a
I thought it
different
was a
one.
yak shaver thing. Okay.
No, I think someone else is doing that. The next one is Content Hawk. So I think this one Caleb just has the video remaining, so he's just going to finish that off. And the last one is getting the Tina CMS to fully use the sprint ceremony skill, because they did give a lot of comments and a test fail. So Michael and I will fix a few of those issues and get them to test it again.
All right. Now, Tina CMS is one word. And
Yep.
I think that's
Oh,
good
yeah.
if you're getting them to use it.
Yep. We're gonna slowly roll it out, and as we get more and more feedback, because Yakshev is currently using it as well, and we're getting some
Right.
feedback from them as well.
Okay. The Eagle Eye team today had a sprint review. Did you consider talking to them about it?
We didn't, mainly because theirs started immediately in the morning, and we didn't really get a chance to talk to them.
Well, that's poor planning. You can have a look on Friday what's happening on Monday, and every evening look at the next ones the next day just to check. Would you use it? You never know. They might find it's good enough.
Yep.
Can do.
Okay. Now I think you've got to move that Sophie GPT from the top
Yep.
down, and I really think the number one thing is just to make sure that my PowerPoint is updated for NDC for the best AI content.
Will do.
And you don't have to make
I'll
major changes, but you do need to tell me what changes you're going to make. And I would recommend doing that before you make the changes. Is Eddie okay with all the changes you're making?
I will run them by Eddie first, and then I will run them by you.
No, I'm asking. Do you know if Eddie's cool with the changes you plan to make?
Yes.
Oh, he is cool. And is Callum
Yeah, we
cool
looked
with
at it last week.
Michael, is Callum cool with them?
I haven't had a chance to show Callum yet, but I will show him, and then I'll check about you.
Yeah. As soon as Eddie was happy, I would have added Callum into the call and just double check this is what we're doing. Does it sound right? Because you definitely don't want to butcher my slides.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So next week, we will have the sprint review on the Tuesday, not the Monday, because Monday is Anzac Day.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow. Okay.
Not Anzac Day, but the Anzac Day public holiday.
Yeah, Anzac Day public holiday for New South Wales.
Oh, so it's really just about the public holiday. It's not about celebrating the day.
Well, it's on the Saturday, so you can celebrate it then.
Yeah, so you don't need the public holiday anymore. That's good.
Depends who you ask.
Okay.
So myself and Michael have 5 days. Willow, Caleb, Luke are all on 2 days, and Eddie is still very popular. No days.
Okay.
So some of
all right.
Yep.
Everybody get popular like Eddie.
Easy. Eddie, can you message me how to do that?
Yeah, I'll make a guide.
Thank you.
Can you make a Claude Code skill for it?
So just a few things just to cover what we're gonna do next week. So Willow got some designs up from Ken for Tiger, so she can finish off the Tiger website using Tina. We have the update to the Sophie Claw model. We got a few skill updates for the sprint skill, supporting Azure DevOps because right now it only supports GitHub. And then the Crystal Ball UI improvements that you and I had a chat about last week. And that's just a few of the things that we're going to cover next week. Yep, I can hear that. Yeah. Any comments?
All good.
Not
Sounds
all good.
I just changed the order around as I said before.
Yeah. So some insights here. So team is down 64% capacity, although I think this is not true. So I'll remove that. We've converted a Canary to an Epic.
No, just strike it through. Don't remove it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Just strike it through. Strike through. Okay. Canary converted to Epic. So what you see here at the end of sprint 9 is just the sprint goals. And then some risks. So overcapacity. I think this doesn't really
seem real. I would just strike it through as well. And the whole the heading and all the text, just strike the whole thing through so you're not reading it.
Oh, all this, yes. All good. Backlog changes. I think there's nothing important. Yeah, nothing much to point out. Snapshot the same.
Is there an easier way to strike through text?
Maybe not on Windows.
In the toolbar or something.
Go up to the toolbar.
Well, it's okay. I'll figure it out myself later. There's an easy way.
It's very quick. Go up to the toolbar, click on the little thing next to SSW. No, higher.
Higher?
Yep, that thing to the left of SSW.
To the left.
Go to the top bar.
Yeah.
Yes. Click on more commands. Now over on popular commands, change it to all.
All commands.
Now scroll down to T, all the way down to T. And then once you get to T, scroll up a little bit to S. And then it should be there, strike through.
Right. This one.
Double click, press OK button. And now it's there forever.
Good to know. Today I learned.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, yeah, I'll be striking more things then. That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, project snapshot. I think this is the same. So we can move on to AI stats, which I'll hand over to Michael.
Yep. Thank you, Lewis. So with the Claude stats, it's called out all the things that we've been planning, as well as a couple points that was brought up during the discussion. So Caleb mentioned following up with Sam and Brooke on the agentic workflow approach, which was something that isn't a PBI, but we brought up. If we scroll down to the Copilot stats, Copilot has called out that the main thing to do next sprint is canary testing with the Tina CMS team, which is correct. If that's all good, I will take over the screen share and show off the dashboard. Awesome. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Brilliant. So a few things to call out. The key decisions here are pretty good to call out. So exploring Claude Code plugins marketplace, adjusting our sprint planning so that we are underestimating, over delivering, and also asking editors to fix the MCP video for Lewis so he doesn't have to spend more time recording. Looking at the hard truths, I thought this was kind of funny. It's called me out as a singular point of failure for the sprint ceremony skill, which is not true. But I suppose AI has just figured it out based on I've been doing a bunch of little PBIs cleaning it up. So that was something interesting that is untrue, but I figured I'd call out as something that's funny. Looking at our insights, we've called out an elephant in the room as Crystal Ball being on the wrong team. But as we just mentioned, I guess this project is sticking with the AI team. And yeah, if we look through the buried opportunities, I would say that this is not necessarily buried since we mentioned it, but this is a very cool feature that Callum mentioned, and we should continue looking into.
Sorry, the first of the hidden truths at the bottom there.
Yes.
Sorry, notable moments. So is Callum saying that it shouldn't be its own app, it should be put into TimePro?
No, I believe Callum is more so saying that it's so this is taken a bit out of context in the quote, but I believe Callum is more so saying that it shouldn't really be stuck with the AI team, since everything that we do can technically be spun up into a app of its own. For example, the sprint ceremony skill.
Okay, all right. Yep, but I thought he was basically saying I'm not sure why it's its own app. It could be put into TimePro, but if that's not what he's saying.
Well, actually, it was more like, should it be its own app or should we just use the skill?
Right.
Because it seems like it's just a crystallization of the skill, and that makes it less flexible.
That's true, but when you look at this data, generally you want to see it straight away, the general stuff. The extra stuff, like if the app didn't exist, every time that I wanted to see that data, I'm waiting 6 minutes for the report.
Yeah,
And
I guess
burning
Lewis
tokens.
said the main who cares about burn tokens? We're in an age of AI abundance. With regards to the 6 minutes, Lewis said the main use case is when you do people's annual reviews. So I thought, well, in that case, we could just make it one of the preparation steps is you just generate this report for the person, and then you don't have to wait for 6 minutes. So you know, if you're just reusing the same set of reports every time, it doesn't really matter. And then as a skill, you can also still drill into it with more flexible questions. Anyway, it's not a big deal. I was just
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Cool. And the next thing I wanted to kind of mention was that Lewis noted a 2x cost increase of tokens from Claude Opus 4.6 to 4.7. But we had a little discussion about it, and we believe it's probably more so to do with the effort than the model. Like the model is probably more expensive, but the fact that it defaults to a higher level of effort probably also contributes to that. And yeah, that is the main interesting things from the dashboard. Was there anything you wanted to see?
No, all good.
Awesome. In that case, I'll pass the screen share back to Lewis.
Cool. So thanks for joining us in the meeting, guys. We'll be on the SSW AI channel, and we'll see you all next time. See you.
Thank you. See ya.